with a
Backdrop.
background today, so
All good.
make sure everybody make sure you go out there and check out Xfinity.
Nice. So, Coach, I think you wanted to start us off before we started taking some questions.
Teresa, just give me a second here. I just wanted to. It's the first time that I've been able to talk to you since kind of the news and everything that has come out. Want to just kind of fill you in really on the health and the well-being of those individuals that have tested with COVID. Some of them are indeed experiencing flu-like symptoms. Nothing, I think, out of the ordinary. We anticipate that they will feel better shortly. Nothing of overly concerned, but again, my concern is always with the safety and the health of our players, their families, our staff, and their families. And then also the individuals that haven't tested positive. I think that their mental state is strong. It's they're excited for a challenge. This is a resilient group. We had a really good meeting this morning, a great meeting. Players will still be in meetings here for a few minutes. We'll have a break. Everybody was tested this morning prior to 8 o'clock. Everybody that was supposed to be in treatment, they were indeed in treatment at the time that they were supposed to be, starting at 6 a.m. We staggered out the treatment. Those players were able to be in our building with a reduced number of training staff. All players had masks and face shields on. I appreciate all those guys being patient with the time. We can only handle 3 or 4 players at a time in the training room today, just to follow the protocol. Players will be off for a few hours, and we'll get back into meetings, Zoom meetings this afternoon. But I just wanted to kind of update you on where we were. I know there's going to be a lot of questions about the game and about who's to blame and where it started. Nobody's to blame. We're in a pandemic. Unfortunately, things happen. John and I feel comfortable that since receiving the protocols in August, we followed those by the letter, and that we were conscious of everything that we did. This is a very unfortunate situation, but one that we're confident that we will be able to handle safely with the football team and the players' best interest in mind. So with that, I thank you guys, and I would like to hear from Teresa.
Mike, the NFL has announced that the game will be played either Monday or Tuesday, with you all not being able to at least get into your facility until Saturday at the earliest. How much does that extra time help you prepare to play this game?
Well, I would say that reports of being in on Saturday may not be entirely true. That's where it looks like it is today. That could all change. Could be earlier than that, and then could potentially be later than that, Teresa. So I wouldn't just assume that it's Saturday. We are preparing to play the football game now as earliest as Monday. Again, I think the focus and the understanding of this football team is now going to be shifted towards preparing to play on Monday. I'm confident that the league will allow us time to practice, to get practice in, to get on the field, and then move forward with the game.
Jim?
Mike, I know a lot of challenges with this. I guess among them, you've got several players, whether it's Taylor, AJ, you talked about Adoree, players who are maybe in the evaluation process as far as when they can return. How much difficult does this make it not being able to see those guys or work with them during the week like you normally could?
Well, they'll get treatment. They'll be in treatment 3 times today. Todd Torricelli and his staff. Again, it'll be a limited number of trainers that'll be in there today, but very confident that those people will work diligently to get our players healthy. And then when it's time to evaluate them on the field, when we are able to practice, then we can take a look at them and see where they're at. But right now, all they can do is treat when we ask them to treat, and be in meetings when we ask them to be in meetings.
And I guess just for clarification, you just answered, I think, but players who are dealing with injuries are allowed to be there with certain medical people?
They are. After John and I had talked to Dr. Sills and to the league, they thought that it was safe in the manner in which we were going to do it, to stagger that process, to limit the number of trainers and people that were in there, that the players would have masks and the trainers would have masks and face shields. So again, that's important. The players need to get treatment, and we just had to find a safe way to be able to do that in the short term.
Guys, I've got a lot of people with questions, so no follows, just one per outlet, and hopefully we have time for some follows, but I've got a tight time frame here. Eric?
Hey, Mike. I'm just curious if you have any clarity on how it spread, not necessarily looking to point any fingers or anything, but just how it spread and what you guys can do in the future to prevent, whatever happening from happening again.
No, we've evaluated what we've done in the protocols and how we've handled the meetings, continue to have social distancing in those meetings. And I'm not going to begin to, try to understand or track down how a virus would spread. We'll have to continue to exercise extreme caution when we go back in, and no one is to blame. I've heard crazy reports that somebody's to blame, or this person or that person. That this is something that we're not interested in trying to blame anybody. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make the players safe, and that this doesn't happen again.
John?
Yeah, Mike, I guess as I try to read the rules on coming back from COVID, if a player is asymptomatic, he could return as soon as 5 days. I guess, as far as I understand, is that your understanding as well, and is that a possibility?
Yeah, and not necessarily, John. I think there's a lot of I know that there's a ramp up period, there's an acclimation period that has to happen as we return back, as players return back, that we're watching EKGs and evaluation of their anaerobic capacity and what they can handle as they return from this. But once we get a few days out from some of these, I'll be able to talk to John and Todd and Dr. Williams and Dr. Sills about how we proceed.
Thanks.
Teron?
Yeah, as things stand right now, from a preparation standpoint, how do you attack this week to get ready to play whenever you do?
No different than what we would, Teron. I met with the team, asked them questions, tried to engage with them, showed them film of Pittsburgh, went through what I think are the keys to this game. Craig met with them as a special teams unit. Arthur and Shane and myself met with the units, and then they'll be with their position coaches for a few minutes, and then the players will have a break. Some will get treatment, some will hopefully work out, some will eat lunch, some will watch soap operas. I don't know, but we have to hold each other accountable, I think, to do some sort of physical activity and be ready to go. No one instructed them to go practice or to do anything of that nature. We're confident that when we are allowed back in the building, that the league will give us ample time to practice. We've worked on short weeks before. We've played 3 games in 13 days. I'm sure the other team that we've played before has had a few extra days of practice. And so it'll be important that the time that we do get to spend practicing, we take advantage of it.
Thank you.
Paul? Terry?
Mike, Bo is one of the ones that's on the reserve list. Obviously, he's the only long snapper on the roster. How much of a concern is that, and what kind of options do you have to replace him?
Well, we'll find some options here quickly. That's what John and his staff is working on. Just trying to find a few guys to come in, and again, they'll have to go through the protocol of the testing and getting them here and working them out, and then going with one of those guys for the game. But you know, it'll be a new long snapper, and then that's something that we'll have to deal with.
Paul?
Outside of Shane, Mike, are there coaches involved in the other 5 that could put you in a jam? Are you one of the other 5?
Personally, no, I am not one of the other 5. But out of just following the protocol, we are required to release the names of the players for COVID-19. But as of that, I'm just going to stay within the protocol and limit the names that we have to release at this point in time to just the players.
Joe?
Mike, you mentioned that you guys could be back in earlier than Saturday. How much earlier is possible? And does that mean the incubation period, started earlier than assumed yesterday?
No, what I said, Joe, was that we could be in earlier or we could be in later, or we could be in on Saturday. I don't think that's a hard, fast deadline that it's going to be Saturday at 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning. So, with that, we'll just wait and see what the league has to say and the direction that they want us to go in.
Well, real quick follow though, that is related to the incubation period though, correct?
The incubation period, I mean, we've seen that it's been as late as 10 days. And we've had guys test for a while and test positive. So, I don't want to misspeak about what the league's waiting for or what they're looking at to allow us back into the building. I'm just going to wait to hear from them and say, hey, you can go back to work.
Steve Lehman?
Robbie, I'm good. Somebody got me already.
Kayla?
Yeah, Coach, you spoke of the challenge and the resiliency of this group. Just talk about maybe what they have said to you and what the conversations have been like when it comes to preparing for something like this with so many unknowns.
They said, Coach, we'll play whenever they want us to play, and under any circumstances, we'll prepare the best that we can, and we'll play. There's been no pushback. I asked this morning to just check in mentally to see where they were. Guys were understanding of the situation. Guys weren't looking to point fingers or blame anybody. They were looking for ways to make us better and help us out during this situation.
Aditi?
Coach Vrabel, was there, even though you're saying that your team is mentally strong about this, were you at all consulted by the league on what you think the best of course of action is? And if you had your druthers, would you rather just get past this and move this game further down the line? Or is it preferable to try to get it over with as soon as you can?
No, I guess I would have liked to heard from the league about how those individuals were feeling. Again, there's a personal side of this that sometimes we look past, and we want to make sure when we're going to play the games and that protocol are being followed. But I think that there's a personal side to this about those individuals that did indeed test positive. John and I had a plan before we heard from the league no one was in our building except for a few people on Monday morning. And that was decided by John and I at 4:30 in the morning. And then if we were going to proceed in practice, that the players weren't going to meet on Wednesday. They were just going to show up and practice and go back home. So we were conscious of that before the league made the decision. They made their decision, and we're proceeding to play not on Sunday, potentially Monday or Tuesday. We all got a taste of this in the off season with the meetings. Our coaches are into it. Our players looked engaged this morning. They answered questions when I asked them. They answered questions when Craig, Arthur, or Shane asked them. And that's all we can ask at this point.
Robbie, if you'll let me, Coach Vrabel, you started by saying you would have liked to have heard from the league on the personal side of this, and that maybe we're not focusing on the personal side enough. Do you feel that there has not been enough concern about the people that are positive, and that we're all too focused on the game and when the game will be played?
No, I've already addressed that. You asked me what I'd like to hear, and I mentioned that. And so
Okay.
now we're on to making sure that those individuals are taken care of health-wise, with our training staff and our doctors, and then taking care of the players that are injured and taking care of the players mentally to focus on moving ahead here with this week.
Luke?
Mike, you've talked a lot after some of the close games about the mental strength of your team, and you've already mentioned it today. Does this adversity, I guess, give you a test to see maybe how true all of that is, and how do you think the mental strength of your team is going to be able to hold up, not having to practice and having to roll with the punches?
Well, again, I think we'll be able to practice, Luke. And we've had weeks where we've had to walk through because of injuries. We're not going to use that at any type sort of excuse going in. We'll be ready. We'll be focused. But I don't know what to tell you. We're going to just proceed with how we have to do things, and this is the way we have to function and operate. And so that's where we're at.
Chris Harris?
Hey, Mike, can you give us a sense of just what the health and safety protocols will be like over the next couple of days? Like, I assume everyone going in for testing every single day just to make sure how will that work?
Yep. Everybody's still being tested, just like we were. Drive into the parking lot, fill out the questionnaire on your phone, go in, take the test, see those great people every day that are in there, that are doing their best to get an accurate test and to get that sent off to the lab. We appreciate those people. They're a part of our team now. It's the same group every morning. They're there working at 4:00 in the morning. And so we're appreciative of the work that they do and their happiness and joy when we win. And it's been cool to see them become part of our team, and excited when we come back in after games. They were there testing us at 5 a.m. when we got back from Denver. And those will be the protocols. And again, we'll have to be very conscious of our physical and social distancing in the building, wearing the PPE, continuing to wear our PPE, continuing with how we serve meals and spread everybody out, and making sure that we are using those meeting rooms where there's social and physical distancing, which we've done since August.
Thanks, Coach. We've got Ryan Tannehill in the waiting room. I'll bring him in.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Ryan, are you there? Ryan, are you there? Ryan, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. There we go. Thanks for doing this. We'll just kind of jump into the questions. Luke, you want to start us off?
Sure. Hey, Ryan, you guys, after some of the close games, have talked about the mental strength of this team. And, we always find a way. With that being the case, heading into this uncertain time, not knowing when you'll play or when you'll practice, how much can that serve you? And how much is this going to be a test of how strong and that mental strength actually is?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a test. I think obviously we didn't choose to be in this situation, but it's the hand we're dealt. So I think we have mentally strong guys who are up to the task at hand. We have to be able to prepare for a game in an unusual situation, doing it virtually, not getting the practice reps that we're used to. But at the end of the day, we have to get ourselves ready to go play a game and go play well against a really good team. So difficult task at hand, but I'm excited for the challenge, and I know our guys will do what it takes to get ready to play.
Similar to the last call, we'll take one question, and if there's time for follows, we'll follow up with those. Teresa?
A little bit off topic, Ryan. You played in Minnesota on Sunday with no fans. And you've played 3 games now without fans. How unusual is it to be able to go on the road and have that kind of success in a place where your last trip to Minnesota wasn't quite nearly as pleasant?
Yeah, it's definitely a different situation with no fans. Just being able to use cadence is the biggest difference being on the road. Usually you're using silent count and having to adjust that way, but communication is a little easier, obviously, with not having the level of noise that you're used to in a typical loud place like Minnesota. So, definitely some changes from every other year in my career, but at the end of the day, it's still football. But that is the real difference about being on the road for sure.
Buck?
Yeah, Ryan, we just talked to Vrabel, and he said there wasn't really any reservations or any kind of hesitation from you guys as players about whether to go ahead and play this game whenever it ends up being played. Can you kind of lend a little insight to that from your perspective as to what those conversations were like among the players?
Yeah, I mean, it's not an ideal situation, but like I said, this is the hand that we're dealt, and we have to do whatever it takes to get ourselves ready to play. Whenever the league says the game will take place, then we have to be ready to play as soon as we step on that field, no matter what kind of obstacles and circumstances we have to overcome along the way. So definitely a different looking week, a challenging week, but an exciting week in the fact that we get to play a really good football team coming to town and have a big challenge on our hands.
Teron?
Yeah, Ryan, Coach has said that you guys are going to attack this week just like any other week. So that being said, for your preparation, especially going against a team that blitzes so much like the Steelers, how are you going to bring like some type of normalcy to the preparation for you and the receivers when you have to go hot, et cetera?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a different week. It'll be a lot of communication, really talking through all the looks, trying to watch them on tape together through Zoom. And, when we are able to get on the field, whenever that may be, talking through those looks in person and being able to make the adjustments on the fly. So, not your traditional on the practice field, see all the looks type of week, but we have to be able to adapt and adjust and be able to communicate those looks and adjustments through virtual settings.
Jim?
Ryan, how much, I guess, the fact the entire offseason was done virtually, how much did that help you at this point? And can you imagine, even thinking about playing in a game in previous years if you had not had that experience?
It definitely helps, no doubt about it. When we hopped on yesterday, it kind of felt kind of normal just because we did have the whole spring where we're doing virtual. So, like I said, not ideal, but it's not a new circumstance. It's not a new medium to have a meeting and watch tape and communicate. So our guys have done a really good job about hopping on, being professional, and really attacking the task at hand, even though we are virtual.
Steve?
Yeah, Ryan, I'm just wondering from a quarterback perspective, you probably get the game plan as early as anybody in the course of the week. How much can you do virtually before you get back on the field? And how different do you think it'll be, if you have 24 or 48 hours before you have to play to try to cram what you get looks wise on the field in?
Yeah, it's different, no doubt about it. I mean, there's no way around it. It's gonna look a little bit different in our preparation. Not having the walkthroughs, not having the practice reps, but like I said, we have to find a way to communicate it virtually, to talk through it, and make sure that everyone's on the same page. No matter what gets thrown at us, whenever the game takes place.
Paul?
Hey, Ryan, I'm wondering what you thought about Derek in Minnesota going airborne a couple times. It seemed like a new wrinkle to his repertoire. What it looked like from your perspective?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. On the first one, I believe it was on a third or fourth and short, and they did a great job. They submarined the front, and really it was nowhere to run. It was cover zero, and we were just trying to mash that thing up in there and gain a couple feet. And Derek went airborne with 250 pounds, and thankfully got it by the nose of the football. And then similar situation down on the goal line. They brought the safety off the edge, really stuffed Kari in the backfield. Derek had to adjust his path before he even got the football, got it, and then saw a crease, and I think he jumped about 5 yards on that. So it was pretty cool to see him flying through the air.
Gentry?
Yeah, Ryan, exactly how big a disadvantage do you think it would be if you guys only got a day of practice or whatever to have to go play this game? And then do you think it could be a disadvantage the next week too if you play on like Tuesday?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get into all of that. I know it's not ideal, but we have to find a way. We have to be able to overcome adversity. It's just a different type of adversity. We've done it throughout this season so far, a few weeks in, and showed our mental strength that we can find a way to win games. And this is just another challenge along that road.
Chris Harris?
Yeah, Ryan, kind of along those lines, do you think this could be an opportunity to almost be like a case study for other teams going forward? Say, hey, if you get hit a little bit early in the week, then it is possible to come back, and that could be a possibility for other teams as we navigate through this pandemic during the season?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen after this if another team deals with a similar situation. All I know is that we have to do the best we can with exactly the hand that we're given, and confident in the fact that we can get it done.
Kyle?
Yeah, Ryan, Khalif, I think, counting the postseason, has starting in week 9 last year, has 13 catches and 5 of them for 40 plus yards. What do you think it is about him and the way you guys use him that he seems to be such a home run threat? And also, when you look at that, how much more do you hope to get out of him going forward?
Yeah, Khalif does a good job with exactly what we ask him to do. We try to move him around and put him in a lot of different situations so that teams can't just lock in him going deep every time he's in the game. We do a lot of different things with him, and we'll continue to do that. But he does a good job. He has some rare speed and an ability to have route craft at the top of his routes that can get him open, deep down the field. So, he's made some huge plays for us going back to last year, and excited to see him make those plays on Sunday.
Steve?
Yeah, Ryan, I was just wondering, since you guys are locked out of the building for a few days, are you throwing like against a tire in the backyard, or can you do anything physically away from the facility right now? And have you ever taken this long off during the season? If not?
Yeah, I'll definitely have to stay active. I think you can't sit around on your couch for a week and be on a Zoom meeting and expect to go be at physical peak on a Sunday or whenever the game's going to be. So it's going to look a little bit different for everybody. What they're able to do, where they're able to work out in the garage, in a gym somewhere. I'm not even sure, but every man on this team is kind of charged with prepping themselves, getting their bodies right, making sure that we're running, we're conditioned, and ready to go whenever the game comes around.
Any chance you can share what your plan is on that for throwing or whatever?
Yeah, I'm just gonna make sure that I'm getting throws in and ready to go, and throw the ball well whenever the game comes around for sure.
I'll ask a general one that I'm sure would help everybody because they all had specific questions, but maybe just talk about the Pittsburgh defense and what you see from them on tape.
Yeah, it's a stout defense, no doubt about it. Really, I think strong all the way around. The front is really good. Big, physical, veteran guys up front that they really set the tone. Their backers are solid. They play fast. They play aggressive. They have great edge rushers with Watt and Dupree coming around the outside. Two at Hayward in the middle. A secondary, Minka Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden. I mean, they got guys really everywhere. So I have a ton of respect for this defense, and we're gonna have to go out and execute and play well. We can't do it for one or two drives. We're gonna have to do it consistently for the entirety of the game. So, like I said, big challenge on our hands, but I think we're all excited to go, test ourselves and really try to put a full game together.
Appreciate your time, Ryan.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Got KB in the waiting room. I'll bring him in. Kevin, it's Robbie. Are you there? Hey. We'll just run through the questions here. Jim, you want to get us started?
Hey, KB, just what has the week been like so far, and what's a week like when there's just so much uncertainty on when you're going to be able to play, how things are going to get done, and how are you and the team managing it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is going to be a different week, probably the most unique week that I've ever had since I've been in the league. I mean, obviously I woke up on, I think it was yesterday morning, about to get ready to go to the facility, but obviously got the news that we couldn't go. Obviously we had some positive tests, which is definitely unfortunate, and I'm hoping that all the guys, that have contracted it are definitely quarantined and we'll recover soon and we'll be fine after that. Hopefully their families is fine as well. But it's just one of those deals where whenever they tell us to play, we're gonna have to go out there and play, man. Not really make any excuses, and try to prepare as best as we can during these virtual meetings. Really locking in on the details, watch as much film as we can individually and together as a team while we're on Zoom meetings.
Buck?
Yeah, Kevin, I guess when we talked to you like before the season, when people were deciding whether to opt in or opt out of this year, it was generally a consensus that you guys understood the risks of what you were getting into. I wonder if there was any difference in the conversations that were had after you guys found out that there were positive tests in the locker room, because Vrabel told us that there really wasn't much hesitation about, wanting to get out there and play whenever they told you guys you could.
No, I don't think it was any conversation. Obviously, we all haven't really been able to get together to be able to talk about a lot of this stuff. But I mean, as far as me and my family, we haven't had any conversations about, the opt out and all that type of stuff. But obviously, it's still uncertainty because obviously, I wasn't one of the guys that tested positive. But at the end of the day, we're still doing testing. And I think like most of you guys may know, it may take a couple of days for, the virus to actually show up on a test. So at the end of the day, just trying to be smart, trying to do what I can to make sure that, I'm even staying safe around my family and doing what I possibly can because, like you said, this virus is serious. We're still in a pandemic and, just want to be safe.
Teresa?
Kevin, that being said, being safe, you've got a newborn. Do you maybe distance yourself from your new child, your daughter, your wife at home as you try to prepare for this game and the challenge of dealing with a Ben Roethlisberger?
Yeah, most definitely. I'm trying to do the best that I can. I mean, obviously, like you said, I do have 2 young children, but at the end of the day, their safety goes well and beyond my part. As far as my priority is the number one thing, to make sure they're safe and sound. So yeah, I'm trying to do what I can. We're just trying to lock in on the game plan and do what I can from that aspect. But it's one of those deals where I kind of understood the risk going into this thing that this was a possibility, and just trying to manage as best as I possibly can.
Teron?
Yeah, KB, from a preparation standpoint, obviously it's going to be different, but Mike Vrabel said you guys are trying to attack it just like any other week. How has the week of preparation changed for you? What does it look like?
I think the biggest deal is probably just the on-field work. Obviously, watching film, locking in on the keys, getting all those, watching film, like I said, writing down notes, making sure I'm getting all the little details about the game plan. I think that's all pretty much normal. Obviously, we're doing it virtually, but it's not that big of a deal to me. But obviously, making sure that, we're getting the on-field work, which we're obviously not going to be able to do early in the week. But for me personally, making sure that I'm still, getting in shape. I have my Peloton bike, be able to get out of my backyard, being able to do some stuff so I can still, continue to have my blood flowing and getting that conditioning in. So when we actually have to play, whether if it's Monday or Tuesday, I'm ready and good to go.
Terry?
Kevin, what's the biggest challenge in trying to prepare for the speed of the game with the Steelers offense when you can't have physical practices this week?
I mean, the speed of the game is the speed of the game. I think most teams in NFL, we all have speed. We have speed in our defense. I don't think that's going to be a big issue as far as preparing for their speed. But obviously, they do have some weapons. They had Deontay Johnson, number 18. They have Claypool, who's a really good 2 young receivers. We obviously know Juju Smith-Schuster is a great receiver as well. They have 2 great running backs as well. So, honestly, I think it's not going to be less about preparing for speed, but preparing for a fist fight. I think they're a very physical team on offense and defense, and we're going to have to play physical as well. So just trying to get ready for a fist fight and a bloodbath, honestly.
Chris Harris?
Hey, KB, you mentioned about just kind of the waiting period on getting results back. Is there a concern at all that, you guys are maybe waiting for the other shoe to drop, that there could be more positive tests coming?
Yeah, that's always a possibility. Obviously, we're hoping that we don't have any more positives. I understand that we had another positive today, but yeah, that's definitely something that's a possibility because, like I said, the virus can show up 3 days later. So I just hope that guys are professionals. I think they all kind of understand, and also Vrabel, we kind of explained to in the team meeting room that obviously this thing isn't over. So we just had to make sure that guys are being smart around their families, taking the right precautions to make sure that, because we're all obviously still getting tested every single day. So hopefully, we don't have any more positive tests, so we'd be good to go.
John Glennon?
Hey, Kevin, wondering if you could talk about the impact of Shane Bowen not being there on Sunday and also not being in meeting rooms coming up this week, and also along the same lines, Daquan Jones, the impact that his absence will have, likely will have on you guys against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, as far as the last game, I don't think the impact was. I wouldn't say it didn't have an impact because obviously he's been a good coach for us. But I would have to say, as far as being on the field and the play calling that was happening, it wasn't really a big difference between Mike Vrabel and Shane Bowen making the calls. But obviously, we're only doing virtual meetings, so he's able to be in virtual meetings with us. So we're able to talk through those different things. But not having Daquan out there, who's been a good player for us for a long time, that's going to have to be something we overcome. Jeffrey Simmons having a great year, and we're obviously going to have some guys behind him. It's going to step up and play some big minutes for us. So I really like the depth that we have in our defensive line. But obviously, his presence out there is definitely something we're going to have to replace.
Thanks.
Luke?
Kevin, obviously at this point, one of the unknowns is how many times, if at all, you'll get to practice before the game. Vrabel said he expected maybe at least once you'll get to practice. So just generally speaking, what do you get out of practice during the week? Maybe you in particular. And if you aren't able to practice, what's it going to take to still be able to perform?
I mean, I think, when you're talking about practice, I mean, I think, when you're looking at a week of work, obviously it starts in the film. We start our mornings in the meetings in the film, and being able to take what we learn from the film onto the field. Now, just like you said, we might not be able to do that throughout this week. We won't maybe only be able to get one look at it on the field. But I obviously I think for some veteran guys, a lot of times if you can get the film, you can get the notes and get the game plan, because obviously most of us know the defense. We can go out and perform. But at the end of the day, just having those small, intricate details and not being able to be on the field is going to be a challenge. But at the same time, it's a challenge that we invite. At the end of the day, hopefully not having, a couple of days on the field, man, guys have fresh legs. So I'm just always try to look at the positives of the situation. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, man, we're ready to play football. I mean, we've been practicing for the past month or so. So I don't think that the condition is going to be a huge deal when we get out on the field. Just mainly just going to try to execute the game plan that we put in.
Joe?
Yeah, you kind of answered that, Kevin, but I'll follow up. I was wondering, just in terms of the pure physical aspect of being on the field, not the preparation for an opponent, but is there any safety concern of, if you only are out there like for one day before you play a game?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. But I think that's definitely going to be up to, us as players being professionals to understand that we cannot just go out there without doing no type of field work. You know what I'm saying? So, right, if it's getting on a Peloton bike, just going around your neighborhood, jogging around, and making sure that you're, continue to try to, get your blood going, get your blood flowing, do a little bit of conditioning on your own to make sure that when you actually get out there, your muscles aren't just super tight. If you got to sit at the house and stretch it out, or, do those little things that you would normally do throughout the week. I mean, obviously we don't have, some guys don't have access to a weight room and stuff like that, but just be able to do something to make sure that when we actually get out there, guys are fine and it's not a huge injury risk. I mean, I'm not saying we can eliminate all risk, but try to mitigate and lower it as much as possible.
Paul?
Wondering from your side of the ball, when you see a running back like Derrick Henry go airborne, what kind of challenge is that? How much of a surprise you think it might have been for a team to see a guy like that go airborne, and what's it like to defend that play?
I mean, I think for most defenders, just seeing Derrick Henry run the ball, it's a scary sight. You know what I'm saying? So to see him get airborne, I mean, it's hard to get a guy that big out of the air and not go forward. So, if he ever goes airborne, especially on the 1 yard line, the goal line, it's going to be pretty hard to stop his momentum and try to, keep him out the end zone. So, I mean, hopefully we can see him go airborne a little bit more. We can get down the goal line, score some more touchdowns.
Thank you.
Steve Lehman?
Hey, KB. I'm wondering, you've gone against him a couple times now in your career. What is the challenge of Ben Roethlisberger as a quarterback and his size and arm strength and what it poses?
Yeah, I mean, he's a veteran quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, somebody that's done it for a long time at a high level, somebody that's, I would say, especially being back there at safety, to understand that the play is never dead. He has a really good pump fake. He has some good weapons out there. They're going to run the RPO games. Just being disciplined in my technique and everything I'm doing back there, because, he can really shred a defense apart. So hopefully we can go out there, try to make him make some mistakes and throw us the ball. But I mean, obviously he's a great quarterback. I always enjoyed playing Ben Roethlisberger, one of my favorite quarterbacks growing up. Honestly, I grew up a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So to be able to have I think it's my third opportunity to play against him is pretty awesome.
All right, we ran through all the questions. Appreciate it.
All right, no problem. Yeah, you guys have a good one.
Thank you, KB.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks.